Kirk Cousins, the biggest quarterback domino in the NFL offseason, has finally fallen. He's gone to the Atlanta Falcons on a 4-year deal. Now, the structure of this deal is where we started to get to some pretty interesting numbers. According to Tom Pelissero, Cousins is signing for a 4-year deal with $180 million that includes a $50 million signing bonus. A huge payday. He gets $100 million guaranteed. He gets $90 million in 2024 and 2025, plus another $10 million in 2026. So Kirk Cousins, 35 years old, coming off an Achilles injury, is getting the monster payday that he was always going to get as essentially the one quality free agent or at least available veteran quarterback this offseason. The Minnesota Vikings had drawn a line in the sand on Kirk Cousins. They did not want to keep going with this 3-year revolving, fully guaranteed contract and big paydays for a guy that was 35 coming off an Achilles injury. Perfectly reasonable stance. But the problem is that's going to expose him to a bidding war for teams that are just as desperate as Minnesota, of which Atlanta apparently is the biggest threat. The Falcons were willing to go to a place that the Vikings were not, and so the Vikings were never going to bring Kirk Cousins back if that was the stakes. The only way they were going to do that is by expecting him to take a massive, massive pay cut relative to what he could have earned simply to stay in Minnesota, simply to stay with Justin Jefferson. But the Falcons can offer Kirk Cousins not just more money, but plenty of upside within the offense and within their personnel as well. What he has in Atlanta now. Number one, really good offensive line. Probably a better offensive line that he's ever had in Minnesota. That's always a good starting point for a quarterback that A, got beat up a lot behind that Minnesota offensive line, but B, is reaching, the end of his career, 35 years old, coming off an Achilles. I would imagine now protection, offensive line help is more important to Kirk Cousins than it's ever been before. Number two, okay, the Falcons don't have Justin Jefferson, but they do have high-level receiving talent. They do have weaponry there. Drake London, one of the best contested catch receivers in the NFL and capable of being a big playmaker himself. Number two, Kyle Pitts. Sure, he's become almost a meme at this point, like a cautionary tale of why you don't take tight ends that high in the draft, trapped within that Arthur Smith offense, but now we're free of that. We've got Zach Robinson, former PFF senior analyst there, running the show, bringing in that Sean McVay type of system. Also bringing in, the Kevin O'Connell style of offense. He's not transitioning to a radically different offense going to Atlanta. So we've got Kyle Pitts to play with. We've got Drake London. We've got Bijan Robinson out of the backfield. We've got a top tier offensive line in situ as well. This is a perfect spot for Kirk Cousins. It's a perfect addition to the Atlanta Falcons, who were reasonable quarterback play away from being a playoff team a season ago. It's win-win for everybody except the Minnesota Vikings, who now find themselves into free agency with no answer at quarterback and no clear pathway through to getting one. Number one, the only capable starting option is already gone. Kirk Cousins off the table. Who knows where they're getting a quarterback from? Number two, sitting at number 11, if you stay there, you are drafting probably at best QB4 from this draft class. And if you don't love that guy, big problems. Number three, if you want to get up higher to secure QB2, QB3, you might have to go as high as draft spot 2 and 3. And that's going to cost an awful lot of draft capital for a team that has plenty of holes to restock and to try and repair this roster with. And then number 4, if you don't like anybody in the first round, there's no guarantee you're going to get one in the second. There's no guarantee there's going to be one beyond that. Guys like Spencer Rattler in the mid rounds. The second round options could be Bo Nix from Oregon, could be Michael Penix Jr. from Washington, each of whom could be gone by the time the Minnesota Vikings actually pick their quarterback. So huge ramifications throughout the NFL, but a great deal for Kirk Cousins. Obviously, build a statue of that guy right outside of business school right this second. Good deal for the Atlanta Falcons, who now have their quarterback, and it leaves the Vikings up a creek without a paddle.